Hi guys and girls on YouTube and welcome to my channel. Well, it's Sunday the 8th of March and I don't usually work on Sundays, but my wife's taking the grandkids to the Chester Doll show and she won't be back for about another 6 or 7 hours, so I thought I might as well get some exercise, walk up to work because it's only 2 miles, my back's playing up a bit, and every time you go to the hospital they say, oh, you need to get plenty of exercise, you need to keep walking around. So I thought, well, I might as well walk up and come in the car. 2 miles here, 2 miles back. I can spend quite a few hours here. And I want to be looking at a TV that I got from my friend Alan, part of his collection. And I've had this for, I don't know, about 12 months, 18 months now. I've never got around to looking at it. But today is the perfect opportunity because I've got like 5-6 hours, maybe a little bit more, to look at this telly. And I thought, what not to do than come up to work and make a YouTube video. So here we go. I think this telly is quite unusual, and in fact I've spotted a very unusual feature on it already. Now I'm not familiar with this set, but let me pick up the camera and we'll just have a look. Right, so here it is in all its glory. It's a quite small Sony TV. We'll turn round to the model number in a minute. It's quite dirty. I think this will clean up alright. I've noticed that this doesn't turn. That seems to be seized up. But there is a sticker on top and it says, because it's from my friend Alan, it says, works 6th of the 8th 1993, and then underneath it says short flex, so it's pretty safe to assume that that was the last time this set was ever turned on. Now it says something underneath there, but I can't just read what it says underneath. But anyway, I mean, it might have worked in 93, it probably won't work now. I'm sure we might have to do something to it. But anyway, and another thing I've noticed here, I've never come across this before, but you see this dirt here? Well, that appears to be behind here. Now, I don't think the tube's shot, I don't think the tube's down to air. I wonder if there's like a glass faceplate over the tube, because that there, I don't know whether it's mould or whatever it is, that is not on the front, that's behind the glass, and it can't be on the tube face. Let's see if we can get a close-up look. So I'm wondering if there's like a safety glass over the front, I don't know. Let's turn it round first and have a look at the model number. Well, it's a little bit dirty, but I think that'll clean up really well. There's 2 controls there, an aerial socket, you've got access to the presets in front, safety cutout trip there, and the model number is, let's get this in focus, it's a KV1800UB. Power consumption 120 watts. So I think what we need to do first is get the back off and have a look what it's like inside, because then I can decide whether I'm going to keep this or I'm going to sell it on. Right, well, actually it doesn't look too bad at all inside. Let me see if we can get a close-up of some of these boards. They're quite clean. The ones on the bottom are very dirty, I guess, as you would expect, because they're catching dust, but I mean, there's no reason why these shouldn't clean up. I presume, looking at that, all them connections, that's probably the line output transformer in them. Let's have a look down this side. Oh, down there, look, there's a mains transformer. Of course, these boards are all hand wired, nothing plugs in, which would be an absolute nightmare to work on. I wasn't a big fan of Sony's back in the day, but I do intend to plug this in and see what happens. In fact, and usually when I get anything of this age, I would clean around the anode cavity here, take that cap off, but I think there's something, I'm not going to do it in this case because there's something about these in Sony's, I can't remember now. I think because I think they carry two connections, don't they? One for the EHT and one for static convergence. I think you need some sort of special tool to take that off without damaging it. So I'll just clean around it, but I'm not going to bother removing that cap. Surely that there is not the line output transistor. But it does seem to connect to that transformer. Now there's some electronics down there that you cannot get to, and I've just noticed here something unusual. Where that screw went in from the back, this isn't accessible. So this is actually, that plastic thing is behind here, which would kind of indicate that you cannot pull this chassis out. I wonder if all this chassis pulls out of the front and just leaves the case behind, because there's no way with them in the way that you could pull all this chassis backwards. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look if there's any, tip it on its side and see if there's any screws underneath that might be, we could undo, and then see if we can bring this all out. But yeah, that's not too bad at all in there. I can't really get much light in. And I don't know how you clean these because they're all hand wired. Obviously you can't take the board out without desoldering all the connections, which would be an absolute nightmare. But anyway, I'll tip it on its side and see if there's any screws underneath. Right, so there's a screw there and a screw there, and I wonder if we undo them, if that cabinet comes off and everything slides out. But while we're there, let's just have a look. There's a reservoir capacitor there. That, look at the condition that's in. There's no venting of that. Now what's that for? Is that to stop you touching something when you're adjusting? But you can see the problem. Everything's hand wired in. So I think what I'll do is I'll undo them screws there and then see what happens. That one looks like it's well rusted up, but I'll find a way of getting that out. Well, that's one out, and it is actually quite a long screw, so we'll probably end up destroying that one because it's rusted up. It's going to take a while to do that, but anyway, look at that. I've taken that one screw out there. So all that lot does indeed slide out the cabinet just like I thought. Right, so half an hour later, I've tried everything. I cannot get that screw to move. I've cut a groove in to get a flat screwdriver and it will not move. So plan B is it's sitting, if you see that grey thing there, that screw goes up through there and holds the chassis. Plan B is to, as you can see, I've put a screwdriver in there now and wedge it and see if I can pull the chassis over the top of there. Unfortunately the chassis just will not move up enough to flip it off the edge of there. So but there's a little gap opened up around the plastic. I might be able to get some WD-40 in there. Right, well, there's no way it's going to come out without undoing that screw, so I brought on the big guns and I've done it. Angle grinder, 1mm slitting disc. I've cut a groove down the middle. So look at this now, and get in there. Get a screwdriver in now, and I'm going to have to put the camera down, but I should be able to turn that now. I've got a big groove in it. to get this big screwdriver in. Right, come back in a second. Right, there you go. That is the screw out. So I wasted a lot of time doing that, but we're ready to lift it out now, or lift the cabinet off. And there you go. That is the cabinet off the telly. And that's the telly lying on my hot water bottle, which I used to put on my back. Right, so let's have a look now and see if there is some sort of a safety glass on the front. But while we're at it, we might as well have a look underneath. I mean, it looks alright under here, doesn't it? Imagine trying to take one of these boards out though with all them wires. What a nightmare. Yeah, that's the thing there where your screw goes in, that and that. So I can bang that back into place now because it's come out a bit. But anyway, success at last. Right, let's stand it upright. Right, so looking in at the side here, we've got 1, 2, 3, we've got 4 more transistors here. I presume these are transistors and not gate control switches. And that reservoir capacitor is only rated for, is it 160 volt? So I'm guessing that transformer might be an auto transformer, and it might just drop the mains down to 100 odd volts. I'm going to have a look if we've got a service manual for this first, but I'm still intrigued about these spots on the front. I guess what I'd have to do is undo these and see if the front comes off, to see if there's like a separate safety glass on. But yeah, there's a bit of dust here wants hoovering out as well. I might give it a hoover first and then go and have a look if I can find a service manual. Right, so let's just get that light out. The tuner that was seized up is now not seized up. As you can see, it's turning. Now I've done that simply because they've got grease inside. Just the grease goes hard, so rather than take it out or spray anything in, I've just warmed it up with a fan heater, and that has melted the grease, and it's away again. So there's a little tip if you get something that's seized up. Instead of trying spraying things in, which you could actually damage the plastic if you're using Service-Sol, just put some warmth on it and that will melt the grease. There we go. Right, so that's that bit done. Let's go and look for a service manual now. And for the service manual, I'll be using this, the Sony official service manual compilation book, 1971 to 1987. And I've already got the page here. KV1800UB. But if we turn over a few pages, there has been quite a few revisions to this set, which are actually listed here on page 319. Yeah, quite a few different component changes there. But anyway, let's just turn over another page. No, wrong way. Yeah, so we've got the diagram here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the camera and I'm going to study this for a bit before we do anything. But I'm thinking the best course of action is probably, oh yeah, and I'm got very dirty doing this. The best course of action is probably to wind it up very slowly on a variac. But I'll come back in a bit when I've studied this diagram, see if there's anything I need to know about this set. Right, well here we have a very good exploded view of every single spring, screw, washer in the telly, and the sizes are all, everything's there. But if we move over to the front, it doesn't really mention anything about any sort of safety glass. So I don't know what to think. Yeah, okay. I'll look at the electrical bit now. Right, so very interesting, as I thought. Get this in focus. The actual set is fed from an auto transformer, so we don't have any mains isolation. And if you can see that, the output from the auto transformer is 100 volts. Now the unusual thing is the CRT has its own heater transformer. It's not fed from the line stage like in most sets. It's got its own transformer. So we've got an auto transformer, we've got a series pass regulator, of which the transistor is down here, and it's the collector emitter are bypassed by a 100 ohm 40 watt resistor, so most of the current will flow through that. And you can see here, after smoothing, we've got 130 volts in, and the HT rail appears to be, is it 110? Where's the HT rail? Oh, here we go. So we've got a HT rail of 110 volts. So taking that into account, I think the best thing to do with this is to wind this setup slowly from a variac. But yeah. Right, let's go and get the variac then. Another thing I've just noticed that's interesting about this manual, it tells you the current flows down the different paths. So here we've got, what have we got here? We've got the horizontal output stage, and the HT rail input there. It says 19 milliamps flows down there to the horizontal output stage, and then if we move over here to the vertical output stage, through the HT rail, you've got 300 milliamps flowing into the frame. So that's an interesting thing that you don't usually see on service manuals. Right, so that there is your 40 watt 100 ohm resistor, of which 2/3 of the total HT current will be flowing through. So what we need to do is get a crocodile clip onto there and onto ground, and then we'll get the variac connected up. Right, here we go. Look at the state of that mains cable. It's nearly as dirty as my hands. Right, okay, so the variac's on. I've got it set to 30%. I'm monitoring the voltage on that resistor, and so far we've got 39 volts. Now I'm just going to leave that for a while, and I think while I leave that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this cabinet. I'll come back in a bit then. And for this I'm just using a tin of foam cleaner that's come from CPC. Right, so as you can see, I'm still cleaning the cabinet, but in between I'll just keep touching the variac up a bit. We're at 60% now, running a HT rail of 74 volts. So I'll keep cleaning, keep touching the variac up, and come back in a bit. Right, so that is about as clean as we're going to get that, inside and out. Now, if we look at the variac, we're now on 70%. We've got a HT rail of 88 volts. That will have reformed that reservoir capacitor around there. You can just about see a gentle glow there in the CRT. So what I'm going to do now is remove the variac, and we'll get some proper mains on it. Get the full mains on it and see what happens. I think that's had long enough now. What time is it now? It's, I don't know, 4:34. It's getting late. Right, that's the next thing to do then. Now, whether this comes on or not, it's going to have to go back in its cabinet, because I can't leave it here for tomorrow. I need this bench for tomorrow. Right, so there we go. I'll remove the variac now. We'll plug it straight into the mains. Right, so here we go. Sony KV1800. 33 years since this was last switched on. It's on at the front there. Oh, hang on, the knob's pulled off. Give me a second. Right, that's better. In fact, it probably needs a bit of cleaner than that. But anyway, here we go. So it's switched on there. I'm going to turn it on at the socket here, so I can stand well back. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, made a noise, didn't it? Oh, it's lit up. Look at that. We have just a red raster though. Hang on. Now it's gone blue. Let's have a look. So we don't have any hissing noise. It looks like there might be a problem on it. We seem to have a blank raster. I'm just going to stop the camera and see if I can get a signal source, but it does look like there may be a fault there. And that rolling you see on the camera, that's coming from the camera, that's not coming from the telly. Right, actually I can see why we've got a blank screen, because this control is very noisy. So if we twist it, we can get to a point where we've got a raster there. Right, let's get a skybox connected to this and see what happens. Right, now it doesn't actually show up on the camera, but the picture looks very bright to me. I wonder if the decoupling capacitor up for the video output stage has dried up. And also, it doesn't seem to have a lot of green on it, but it seems, when I'm looking at the camera, it seems to look a lot better on the camera than it does on the screen. But anyway, Skybox is connected. I think it's set to about channel 21 on the Sky. Ah, that's a good sign. We've got a crackling. Right. Well, we do have there a colour picture, look, because I can turn the colour up. So, looks like we need to adjust the horizontal hold, which I think is one of them controls on the back. Right, so that seems to be the frame. That's the line stage, so it's going to be one of them. I've no idea which one, and it doesn't say. So let's hope it says on the back. Right, so I was actually wrong there. It's one on the frame board, horizontal frequency, the third one across. Let's see what the others are. Vertical size, vertical linearity. What's that? Horizontal size, blue background, green black background, red black background, and screen control. So we want the third one across, which is that one there. And if you look at that, it's been painted up at the factory, so it doesn't move, but we're going to have to adjust it anyway. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just double check with a circuit diagram and make sure there isn't any other control before we disturb that one that's painted up. But it's not that far out anyway. In fact, yeah, if you look at the horizontal frequency, there is only one control. Sometimes there's an inductor as well, but in here it's just that. So, right, let's get that twizzed up. Right, yes, we have colour, but we have loads of other issues. The picture's a little bit too small, probably dried out capacitors. I don't think for 1 minute that should be green, and also we've got a very bad convergence error. But let's put a picture on it. As you can see, we do have colour. Right, let's get a live picture on. Yeah, there we go, we've got sound. Just turn that down so we don't get a copyright strike. Yeah, well, there's a lot more to be done to this, but we do have a result, don't we, there? Lots of noisy controls. Right, so I've just adjusted the horizontal static convergence, and that is a hell of a lot better, but we still have some convergence errors on there, which is a bit worrying because it looks like something's been moved at the back. Let me just take you around the back. I'll just turn it off so I can turn it round. Yeah, if you look at that, these convergence adjustments here, the white appears to be original, and this other grey stuff looks like somebody's put that on. So whether these need altering, that's a little bit worrying. So something's definitely happened there, but at the end of the day, this set still does need a lot of work. So you're not going to see it fully restored in this video because I just don't have the time. But I've set out what I wanted to do, and that was to actually get this set on so I can make a video tonight when I get home. Let's just switch it on and have a look at the picture again now. Yeah, that's going to need a lot of work to make a good set. I don't think I'd worry too much just at the moment about the convergence errors, because as you can see we have a smaller picture, so I would imagine it wants quite a few capacitors changing in the power supply, because we're probably running a lot less than 110 volt HT rail, which will also affect the convergence, but it's all immaterial because this is going to need a lot of work, and I'm not going to be able to do anything for quite some time. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I set out to get this going, and that's exactly what I've done. So for now it can go back in its cabinet, but look at that. It just wants a hell of a lot of time spending on it. So there we go, guys and girls on YouTube, the Sony KV1800. I'll just put it back in its cabinet, and then we'll just show it working with the cabinet back on before we close the video. And then I'm off down the pub, get a couple of pints, get a curry, and I'll be back home before my wife. Yeah, there's definitely some sort of safety screen on here because the tube's actually set well back, so I don't know how on earth you get to it. I presume you take the tube out, but you can see all them, I don't know, spots of mould, spots of dirt. They are actually behind this glass. Right, there we go. Sony KV1800. The back's not been cleaned, it's only the cabinet itself. The front's not been cleaned. Let's put colour bars on and you can see what it's like. There we go. Yeah, so we've got massive convergence errors there, but they might all fall into place when you get the picture the right size, because I'm sure the HT rail is going to be down. But anyway, there we go. That is all I can do in this video. So I'll say many thanks for watching, and I'll get this on tonight when I come back from the pub. Many thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Alright then, goodbye.